Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Last week, it was all about U.S. election that saw the Senate ruling the House by majority of Democrats. Yes, and of course the House of Representatives, Republican. Unlike what happened previously, where you have Democrats all the way in the House of Representatives, and of course the Senate. But right now there's a division, and some just tweeted an end of an era of Nancy Pelosi because she is or was the Iron Lady in the House of Representatives. But with that election, midterm election, to the twists and turns. And that gave rise to Donald Trump coming out to say, look, he wants to vie for that same position of the President of the United States of America. And people have been talking about this. Yes, Trump is gunning once more for that coveted office to become a #1 man of the United States of America. And of course, Elon Musk chose to reinstate Donald Trump's account on Twitter. How would all this pan out? How do you think it's going to affect the election? How do you think the psyche of an average American is right now? That is what we'll take a look at today's installment of International Forum. With me here in the studio, I have a lecturer, political press commentator, political analyst, but local and international politics is very grounded. Join me to welcome Honorable Frank Amego. Welcome to International Forum.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. And anybody close to me, he is a vibrant youth political analyst and entrepreneur. Both local and international politics is well grounded. Some call him a mobilizer. You know, I can tell. Join me to welcome Etiosa Igebo, aka Honorable Sonny.
Good afternoon, yes.
All right. Okay. The Capitol riot has come and gone. The FBI raid to Donald Trump's villa has come and gone. Men are thinking that, look, with all these things happening to Donald Trump, he's been dragged from one court to the other because of his, antecedents while he was in the Oval Office. People are thinking that this is just the end of Donald's political career. All of a sudden, last week, he comes to an American and says, look, I am gunning for that same position. We have to make America great again. I want to start off from Honorable Etiosa Igebo. Were you shocked when you heard Donald Trump saying that he wants to vie for that same position of becoming the President of the United States?
No, certainly not. I'm quite amazed from the point of doing the introduction and going from that direction to the right directions, and then when you ask the questions on who speaks first, it's from this direction to that direction.
It's called balance in the broadcasting. It's called balance in the broadcasting.
That's very nice. Well,
I know he has so much to say, and it's going to explode very soon, but please watch your emotions.
Okay. So, I mean, I think with what has happened,
yes,
I'm not particularly surprised. I know we've had previous conversations and discussions before that has kind of centered around these same sort of issues. To do with how the people of the United States felt when they voted out Donald Trump, and evidently brought in a new president. And in no distance time, certain actions and instances have been happening now within the Democrat Party, whereby the Houses of Reps are seeing some drastic changes with regards the majority of whatever that might be happening, tilting towards support for Donald Trump's political party. I think to me, from what I understand, which is a position I've taken from time, I do strongly believe that all these problems is not far away from the fact that there's an economic depression in America as well as Europe, and obviously what affected us here in Africa. All these problems are direct actions or reactions from the dispute that is in the Far East in Europe between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Because when the economy becomes tough for the citizens that live in America and the price of gallon of fuel has skyrocketed, the cost of food has gone up, the cost of living has gone up dramatically, the natural law of karma or motion is what you're getting now. The people will look the other way. And that is why the Republican Party is kind of gaining momentum to come back up again. And I believe if the President, Donald Trump, comes and corrects something small, maybe like...
He's not the president yet. He's vying for that position.
Vying for the president.
Yes.
If he comes on board and adjusts a few things, the Democrats may have a lot of work to do.
Other work to do. The reason I choose to start off with this is because I know somewhere along that you have this soft spot for Donald Trump. That's why I choose to start
not
off
necessarily.
from you. Anyway,
not necessarily. I didn't have a soft spot for him.
Okay.
But I'm just speaking from the real-time situation of what is happening to the common citizens in America.
In due course, we'll get to find out.
Nobody spends $1,000 on cost of living a month, and then it has skyrocketed to $3,500 due to dispute in other parts of the world, which can be directly related to the people currently in government.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Honorable, well, you heard him. He said that due to some circumstances that the Republicans deemed it fit to allow Donald Trump to declare, though we're still waiting for the primaries to see the outcome. But were you surprised when they said he wants to run once more for that coveted seat, the Oval Office?
Of course, I wouldn't be surprised because I'm sure Donald Trump would have read a lot of motivational books.
Motivational
books? Would have done so. Because he is drawing inspiration from a former U.S. President, Grover Cleveland, that did the first term, he couldn't get a second term, then much later, he contested and he won. So that's what I said, he's reading some books. But the books he has read so far, I don't think will really help him. Because so far, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is ahead of Donald Trump already. Because Florida is where Ron DeSantis is from, just like Donald Trump. And if at your home state you're having defeats, that goes to show when you now go out to other states, you likely may not be able to have enough political strength. And of course, we know right now that the political relevance of Donald Trump has long diminished, because that was why the governor of Florida could just bring him so low. And that Florida approach is still very important, because in 2016, there was a senator there, Senator Rubio. Donald Trump defeated him, because Senator Rubio also from Florida. So Florida is like the center of their elections now, because all of these persons I've mentioned are from Florida. So Donald Trump in 2016 defeated Senator Rubio, and that in a way paved way for him to emerge as an American president. And that defeat against Senator Rubio is what has also affected him now. In terms of primaries, I don't at the moment see that Donald Trump will win the primaries. Even if he does, he can't stand the sitting president. He can't. So, in essence, what I'm looking at is he just wants to do a comeback. You know, commonly, he wants to show off. You know the characteristics of Donald Trump, just to make some noise. On Saturday, some days ago, he was asked to, okay, your Twitter, come back to it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that point.
Okay.
We'll get to that point. Now, he said, according to him, Donald Trump has lost political relevance. He mentioned Florida also, which is key component of Donald Trump's, zest to come out for that same position. What do you feel about his comments?
Well, I like to personally differ on his submission on whether or not Donald Trump is still very popular, on if he can win the primaries and then go ahead to win the presidential race. I see Donald Trump's chances bright as ever. I think, personally, in my views, he has done extremely well. I do believe that this is a good time at which he will be able to kind of like, a good time where he'll be able to kind of like get his cards on the table, and at the end of the day, be able to really go into the race and do well. Why am I saying this? A lot of the things that has kept Donald Trump on the edge, which obviously has led to why he lost his re-election bid to the Democrat Party, to President Joe Biden, was because of certain aspects to do with division within the American states. They didn't feel in it as an American, there should be discrimination. If, for example, the wall of Mexico or whatever, Cuban War and things like that, the wall in Mexico, they believe that opening the doors for migrants, not control, is not the best, because other ethnic minorities in the U.S. felt to be slighted. So they had to join forces with the narrative from the part of the Democrats that Donald Trump was not acting right. So people voted him out. But one of Donald Trump's strongest arguments is that Americans should not be seen to go to war. Because when they seek to go to war, either directly or through the proxy means, there's always a backlash on the citizens of America. Because the truth of the matter is that these elitists, like he calls them, they don't feel the pinch of the increment of the cost of living. They are the direct or indirect beneficiaries of the so-called dispute that is happening in other regions. But what Americans don't appreciate from the actions and the reactions from the voting pattern in a system that is very robust in democratic norms and values is the fact that they are voting at these people who they once supported just less than 4 years ago. So now, what makes you think that Donald Trump will be weaker at the polls or within the party if, for example, it was shut out from being able to air his views, for example? He feels like he was a victim. The fact that Donald Trump was investigated, his properties was, looked into, and XYZ, sympathy starts to draw in direct contrast to the hardship that has befallen the country. Because what Donald Trump was saying was that if I was the American president, we will not be in this situation. Whether he's saying the things in the right way or not, whether he means it or not, the immediate reactions may eventually envelop and consume the Democrats if they don't fix the problem in time.
All right, now, so what you're saying that Donald Trump is politically relevant in America as against what Honorable Frank opined on. All right, now you heard him, he said because of what is really going, he talked about inflation, talked about the war. That is the riding point of Donald Trump. Do you think this might just make him come back strong to displace the President Joe Biden?
Well, this is not a forum to further granting motivational talks. I don't know whether he's listening to us now.
Of course he's listening.
Okay, good. In 2016, I'm always hammering on 2016, they didn't have endorsements. And in the face of no endorsements, he still won. 2016. I've known over the years that if you hold too much to the past, you don't have enough space in your hands to hold on to the future. So he is relying on the past. I was once, but you're no longer. So he did that without endorsement in 2016, and he still won. But in the midterm 2022 elections, it was a different thing entirely. So the 2016 couldn't play out. We are in 2022 now. The midterm elections they did, it was just behind. With his own party, a lot of things didn't work out. So the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, brought as if Donald Trump was never existent. And that is a major pointer that come the primaries, you may not win. You may not win. Because I was going to talk about the Twitter thing just now. It still showed how popular it is. About 15 million people voted for him to come back, which was just 51.8%. So because of his pride, he said, no, I'm not coming back. I'm going to TMTG that he has formed. Trump, something, TMTG. So he's out of pride. And the followers there are up to 10 million. Twitter, they had about 888 million people following him. So pride would not allow him to go far in the face of diminished relevance in politics. So if he was still very relevant at the party level, the governor of Florida wouldn't have been able to match up with him. You can't really match up with someone that is just coming up. a governor, you're a former president, you cannot overwhelmingly win him, and now you're saying, let's go to Joe Biden, I want to win him. You can't win him. If you're fighting someone, and the person slams you on the floor, and while you are down there, you are saying, come on, it will finish you. So at the party level, you are not even measuring up to expectation. Talk less. Meaning say, I'm aware Joe Biden. So it's irrelevance first. He should brush up his suit of politics to be relevant to the people of America, irrespective of the present challenges. It's a global thing that every country is going through, and no one country is better off. It's just that the leadership quality that differentiates country A from country B. So if he's saying in the midst of economic crisis, all this and that, that he's going to come back as a president, he would have done that from his party. But right there at the party level, he has a major challenge to surmount. And the ability to do just that, that's when he can say, I want to face Joe Biden. But within the party structure now, he's in trouble.
You heard him, he said within the party structure, he is in trouble. Really, there is a stiff opposition. Dos Santos, the man he talks about, Santos, the governor of Florida is really talking tough, saying he's no longer backing of Donald Trump. Apart from him, also Spence made mention of something like that. That is high time they got serious. They don't want to like a joker right now, in quote, indirectly. He's referring to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump went ahead to make his intention known to Americans that he wants to run for that coveted office. Now, it is all these internal wrangling in Republicans tending towards, Donald Trump not achieving his dreams of becoming the #1 man in America. Do you see this as an easy fate for Donald Trump?
Yeah, like I said, I'll stick to my gun. I think it's not a challenge or a match for him. I mean, my co-panelists here can obviously look at this from his trajectory. And that takes me back to also make him understand that this is from the part of the political spectrum. I mean, he's not really a politician. I can look at it from a common guy.
Every man is a politician. Every human is a political animal. Don't forget that.
Being a political animal in the wording and being a political player in real term is two completely different ballgames.
All right, let us hear of you.
Like what I'm trying to say is that as much as he has made his point, which can be right, I'm not saying that what he has said may not have substance in it. But the truth of the matter is, look at the DeSantis guy you're talking about. From the way the name sounds, I can already tell that such man cannot be president of America.
From the way the name sounds.
I can already tell he cannot be president of America because he's already someone who's from a kind of a background whereby those who are for and against, the power broker who decides what happens. Because like they say, in politics, 24 hours is a long time. A whole hour is a long time. The issues of making decisions can happen very quickly. 1 minute is Professor Amego, next minute is Etienne Sagibo. The matter becomes so, you'll be surprised with the resolutions, just like what happened back here. So as it is today, don't tell me that what Donald Trump is trying to do to be a king in his home, of wanting to push his own, drive his own media followership, that media platform will not grow over time. Don't be surprised in the next year or two, he may even double the 880 million followers he has to about 1.6 billion in 2 years. That way, he has a complete control over people that practically follows him in terms of the political space, as the case may be, rather than hoping that Elon Musk, who's the new owner of Twitter, grants him audience to be part of Twitter today, and tomorrow it may be kicked out the door, depending if management changes hands. So as much as I hear that from my co-panelist of what Donald Trump is not willing to do, it practically further shows to me that the guy is very smart. He's a smart guy. He was a successful businessman. I was not a fan of Donald Trump because of the fact that certain aspects of the expression of what or how Americans should coexist, because the common people in America, the regular people, they are very nice people. They are friendly. They are not the way certain leadership people in government takes decision and sticks to the decision, whether the decision is right or wrong. Americans are usually very nice people. So when you create division amongst them, it can obviously lead to a backlash of why my brother thinks that his popularity has diminished. But popularity can be revived within a week. It can be revived within a month, because you are looking at things that affects them when Donald Trump was putting up a certain character, which I told you as president he needs to correct if he has to run again to give him the edge, as well as what is happening to them now under the leadership and the presidency of Joe Biden. These are people, if you know the way they live in America and the Western countries, one of the things they enjoy the most is the ability to exist naturally. It is only in Africa that people will be living on 1,000 naira a month, and then they are kicked out, their circumstances become so bad, they are living on having to survive with 5,000 naira a month, and they are still hoping that tomorrow will be better. In the Western countries, their mentality is different. The minute you make life hard for them, they start to do all kinds of things, because they will never live in a way that they're not used to. That is the effect, and that is the price that the Democrats stands to pay if they don't correct their anomalies and get the economy
back on track.
Back on track. From the point of solving those problems in the Eastern Bloc, resolving the issues between Ukraine and Russia, bringing back cheap energy, and allowing people to exist in a natural space, and obviously hope to get better. Trust me, if Donald Trump goes into the election with Joe Biden as things stands today, I can assure you that he's going to get overwhelming vote, and he will be the next president of America.
You heard him, himself, what is going on right now, pointing at what is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Some of the people that had it been that Donald Trump was the president, there wouldn't have been this war between Russia and Ukraine. There have been tension between China and Taiwan. There have been tension also in the Korean Peninsula, because he has a way of getting to the heart of these persons, and that may just be the advantage that will skyrocket him to that Oval Office. What do you feel about this assertion?
Yes, if politics is arithmetical, governance is not. Because Donald Trump is not the US president right now, and anything that Joe Biden did will now say, if it had been Donald Trump, that arithmetic does not work at that point. So while Donald Trump was there, the people of America saw the need to have a new person, and they had a new person. So if at this stage now, they now decide otherwise again, they don't want Joe Biden anymore, they can bring in Donald Trump. But Honorable Sonny is saying, he's jumping the gun, really. Yeah. He's jumping the gun. No, initially he said he's holding on to his gun, but he's jumping the gun now. The battle now is not between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It has some scores to settle in Florida. Wait, Ron DeSantis.
But he said from the name, he's not a power broker.
As his opinion. So, he has not been able to settle that. My father used to tell us that if a man is boasting, I am this, I am that you can only do that to your wife. But when you leave your neighborhood, you can't do anything. So, the name doesn't matter. Kelechi Iheanacho, there was a Man City. As complicated as that name is to a British person, for instance, Kelechi Iheanacho, when he scored one goal against one team, the commentator pronounced the name very well. You don't argue results. The moment we're going to learn, right now, Ron DeSantis, it becomes memorable so easily. It will flow, no hindrance. So, Honorable Sonny, you get used to that name. Ron DeSantis. So, let Donald Trump settle Florida first. If he wins, that's when I'll say what will happen between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Already, they are not even mates. So you sort it out with your colleague in Florida. Then when you're done with that, then that's okay, Donald Trump, oh yeah, let's go. But now you are battling with something mundane. They were asking for a bigger thing. Nobody's going to give you. I'm sure he has agreed with me now.
Over to you now.
Not at all. I mean, I don't know how the best way that I can use to explain to my brother here to understand where I'm coming from logically. You know, the more you speak on these issues, as much as we are trying to speak to the audience, I get them to see reasons as to what we are talking about to do with a political system in another country. If I wanted to look at it from the background of where I've been involved with, and look at the Western instruction and the way that they think there, the way they do things, and come to the African settings and what is happening here, I mean, I'm not a very lucky guy. You know, people tend to always dispute what I say when it comes to the issue of futuristic or what I think is the pathway. But 99% of the time, whatever I say always comes to pass. So I see it as a blessing. It's one of my natural reflexes. When I say things, people will not want to agree, but come back a couple of months later, maybe a year later, you realize that what I said was like something cast in stone. The Santos you're talking about before Donald Trump has his challenge why he lost his election to Joe Biden, it was because of certain harsh policies, which seems the kind of transmogrify, like Domingo says, that they made it become a big issue that Donald Trump was separating and causing Americans not to like themselves. In that way,
that's causing division.
Division. So his political party, which was the Republicans, were not happy because whatever Donald Trump's position is, whatever position he takes in the national and international platform, it obviously comes back to affect the decision of the voting of people who goes to the Houses of Reps, Senate, and governorship. So when it was a midterm election and the Republicans was losing seats, obviously you expect a natural law of reactions from his party members to want to find a new leader. But then again, that was maybe Donald Trump not acting in isolation with other people also responsible for the decisions of what the Republicans were known for at the time he was in power, for him as a president to take the blame. And that's what happens. So the issues he's talking about to do with the political party is a natural thing, just like Joe Biden is facing now. The Democrats are losing seats. Joe Biden, President Biden, is in a hot seat. If he loses out now, next time they will tell you they don't want him to be the leader. Because as a leader in the Western world, where both counts, whatever you do trickles down the ladder. Sometimes, with all due respect to the way he's speaking, I think he's speaking like he's looking at things from the Nigerian sphere. But he needs to understand that this is not Nigeria.
But some persons, once upon a time, termed Donald Trump as an African on a white man's skin of that nature. That's a typical Nigeria.
I'm just talking practically.
Yeah.
I'm not talking hypothetically or brainstorming session. I'm just talking practically.
Okay.
Practically in America, I made a joke. I said, look, DeSantis only sounds like a household name. Trust me, it can never be a household name. You can get up to challenge him. And I use a simple analogy to tell you that politics, 24 hours is a long time. You can have the DeSantis guy from California or Florida. You know, holding the day until it gets to about a week or a few hours to the decision, the whole thing turns around. That is me speaking as a politician. Because these are things that I eat and speak every day. And I can excuse him from not understanding that.
I'm coming for you.
In the professor's profession, where he's an Illuminati in the game of academics, there is a level at which I can argue with him because I've never stood in front of students and teach them. But I know I have capacity to do so, but I've never practically been involved in it. So if I come here and argue with him to an extent, even if I know I'm educated quite well, and I know I can transfer knowledge. I've taught people on the phone in England and they come out with the first class. That is me exhibiting certain characters of what I've earned naturally. Okay. So going back to the Donald Trump case, like I said, just read my lips and mark my words. There is no other person as it is now with the controversies and the relationship that Donald Trump has had with the regions within the international space that has disagreements with America. Why the Americans will not vote for him if he's running for president. Yes. But in terms of the political party that he belongs, today as it stands, the Republican will still produce Donald Trump as the next candidate to challenge whoever is in the Democrats running into the next election. I'll show you on that one.
Over to you, Honorable. Now, you said you have points to make from what he just said. He's stating that, look, Dos Santos is not a household name in American politics. After all, in politics, 24 hours is such a long time. There's only twists and turns that can occur along the way. So, take it up from there.
Yes, the truth is, he just agreed with me. Maybe in a different tone.
Okay.
That Ron DeSantis is leading. But he's saying that the end will determine it. It's not like a common street fight. Come on.
He said you quoted him out of context right now.
So as I was saying,
Yeah.
that a common street fight is such that if you're able to beat me up now, and somebody, a third person came and separated us, I would just say this fight not going to end like this, but you are beating me. That a lot of things can change overnight. Let the overnight come first. But so far,
Yeah.
Donald Trump, you can't hear the Trump, but there's a trumpet, there's no Trump.
But hold on, if you say you can't hear the Trump, how come over 15 million persons voted for him to come back to Twitter and of course to come back and vie for that position of becoming the president of America?
Recall 51.8, that's a slight, a narrow escape.
But it's above average.
That was to check his popularity. Ordinary social media.
That is probably
Ordinary.
Hold on, now he has
Ordinary. We're not going to the polls now. Ordinary social media.
Okay.
They got 51. Maybe a lot of Nigerians would have voted. Would have voted.
In America, if you use the word ordinary about social media, they may not totally agree with that.
The 51.8
Yes.
is about 15 million
True.
people. So are there 15 million people in America? So if, as it is now, it's possible he also voted for him. That's what he wants to defend his vote. So I'm not defending any vote, but from the reality on ground, there's a point out of the fact that Donald Trump will have to do a lot of work, homework. If he's to settle out Ron DeSantis, say, please, we are from the same state. I have a better chance of fighting Joe Biden than you. If that thing is settled out, then we can come back to this studio and say, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, let the match start. But at the whole front, is having a major challenge. So that's my fear now. If you can sort out DeSantis, and let's see that I can face Joe Biden more than you can. Instead of saying that DeSantis' name is not looking presidential, but a time will come, you are a Benin man, is a strop, small tree. I'm doing that already.
Okay.
It's a strop that becomes a giant tree. So don't despise the days of little beginning. Someone has to start from somewhere. So let's back Ron DeSantis in this matter, that if he can bring down Joe Biden, why not? But the matter now is that who can fight Joe Biden? As it happened in the Bible days, if I take your mind back, Goliath was after the Israelites. Until King Saul said, who can kill Goliath? A lot of army generals came. Each time Goliath will move a step forward, they will run away. Then one young man, not even a youth, if he had been a youth, would have been enlisted in the army, a teenager. You know, I said, I can do that. And he came, he brought Goliath down.
So those DeSantis right now is
Why
that
can't he be the David? Why can't he be the David?
Over to you now. You heard him.
See, first and foremost, he
You heard
me
him.
out of context,
Yeah.
and he wants to put me on the
the
back
hot seat.
footing. But with these conversations that we're having on this international forum,
Yes.
I've kind of take things easy with my co-panelists, because if I want to open the throttle, I assure you, my brother here will probably be on the hot seat.
Please
right
do
now.
open the throttle.
But
We
then
want to know. We want to know.
But then again,
Yes.
one thing is to communicate with people on a level, and the next thing is for the people to be able to reason with that thing on that level. The reason why you see me keep coming back to revisit the point that I made is because I don't want any information to mislead the people who are watching these programs. You cannot use these examples of the Bible of David and Goliath. In this case, when Joe Biden is already going down. I mean, what is the Goliath about?
How is it going down?
Because I mean, if they've done an election and the Republicans has gained more seats,
Politically speaking.
I mean, this whole thing comes back to the political display of intelligence. And like I said, my brother is a lecturer, I'm a politician, I'm a businessman. In the scale of preference, I'm very high up there politically.
I didn't mention that I'm the elder brother. I also mentioned that.
And then it brings about the conversations to do with using our very beautiful Benin dialect to make some parables. Of course, I can make parables as well, but I wouldn't want to bring that here. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, with all due respect to my brother, I don't see, if Donald Trump comes back to weigh for the tickets of the party, I can assure you that he will be the man on the ballot. Reason is because as president of the U.S. for 4 years, he has built relationship outside the U.S. There was a narrative that was put out there before the emergence of Joe Biden as the president of America, defeating Donald Trump, which is one of the reasons the Americans didn't appreciate until Donald Trump was gone. I will re-emphasize it. I was not a fan of Donald Trump, but the fact that beautiful and good Americans was being made to look as if they were disenfranchised or not like each other along ethnic lines. That was one of the narratives that was put out to the Americans. The fact that Donald Trump was, so to a very large extent, affiliated to the Russian hegemony. They said that the American elections was interfered into by the Russians. These are facts that could not have been proven, but they sang that song for good 4 years in order to capture the mind of those that they know they have in their whims and caprice, like they say, that they may have control over with intellectual display of knowledge and having a competitive advantage in that regard to bring in the new president. But then, don't you think that narrative that played out is what Donald Trump is capitalizing on to say, well, look, now you are living from hand to mouth. You are losing your jobs. The cost of living has gone high. The price of gallon of petrol is XYZ to $4 from $1 something. We are talking about practical things. We are talking about real life situations now, where people can't even afford to go on holidays anymore. Because you probably have not lived in America. I've lived in America. I've lived in England. I've been to these countries. I can tell you without mincing word that what I'm telling you is as good as things written on marble. If he's using verses in the Bible, did he forget that when John the Baptist came and preached the coming of Jesus Christ? And by the time he came, the same people he came to liberate laughed at him and crucified him. What would you want to say with that when you use the examples of David killing Goliath?
We are not going scriptural right now. We're not going scriptural right now.
We will look back at later.
So in my submission,
yes,
not to keep flogging on the same dead horse as an issue, I can tell you today without fact that with Elon Musk putting out information that said Donald Trump can come back to Twitter, millions of Americans would have even felt injustice for Donald Trump. Because even if you don't agree with a man, that should not stop him from speaking and airing his opinion and voice.
All right.
All these are building blocks that helps to capture the different voting organogram within the space.
Okay.
So I can assure you that his analysis is not particularly correct. What I'm telling you, I believe
you cannot say that it's not particularly correct because it's related to his own opinions and views. You can say that.
Wait a minute. When I say it's not correct in my own opinion, it's because looking at this politically and looking at the fact that you just made an example. If 50 million people XYZ wants him to do this, he went ahead to say, well, even people in Africa voted. What makes you think people in Africa voted? Or the Americans cannot streamline the people who should vote for Donald Trump?
Over to you now.
American space?
You heard him now, back to the Twitter thing now. Elon Musk saying Donald Trump can come back to Twitter. He talked about the sympathy vote that Twitter wasn't fair with Donald Trump. Now that Elon Musk is in charge, projecting Donald Trump, that may just be a game changer. What do you feel?
Yes, is that attitude of a bully that Donald Trump also is trying to exhibit. I'll make it clear. You are not the owner of Twitter. It's not a government agency or organization. The owner said you have made some mistakes against the rules, regulations, as you say, governing the airwaves. So now they have rules. What you have posited over time have gone against the rules governing Twitter, and they banned you. That in itself should make you have a rethink.
Under the former leadership of Twitter?
Yes.
Okay.
It was banned. And now maybe opinions here and there, can't this man come back? And they did it. If as he won now, and he actually came back, maybe in the dream world, Donald Trump will never come back out of pride. That's one of the characteristics of a bully. You have asked to come back. Why don't you humble yourself enough of, okay, I'll keep to the rules. You are not going back with the intention that you won't keep to the rules. Let my own platform fly. So irrespective of the few number of persons that Honorable Sonny is saying will build up. Are you going to let go 888 million for less than 5 million I want to build up? Why don't you build the two together?
But take a look at that number, 888
88
million.
to let go for pride. Allow your fans in 88 million to be there while you're gradually building this. You don't cut off your hair because you have a headache. You still try to maintain it. So by showing some level of togetherness, oh, I was bad, I'm sorry. Thank God I'm back. Then you come back and do something better. So is it the same way the Americans voted you out and now you're trying to come back? Are you going to come back to fight them?
Are you not saying that he doesn't have followers? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Every human being has some level of followers.
Okay.
No matter how bad a human being is.
Okay.
Even I've heard criminals, they have followers. They have their own fans. So that they have fans is not a point at the fact that they are doing the right thing. So if Donald Trump can be humble enough, irrespective of the good ideas you have, to bring America from one stage to the topmost, but there's a level of interaction that a common man will want to experience.
Okay.
No matter how good a product is, if you serve it wrongly, they will withdraw from it.
No matter how good the product is,
yes.
if you serve it wrongly, they will withdraw from it, take it off from there.
When I process information and it doesn't add right,
Yes.
it doesn't bother me, but it just gives me the need to go further and further tell you what you're saying is completely out of place. If you're telling me, let us take Twitter as a vehicle. Somebody owns a car and is driving his car and it tells you, in my car, don't make a phone call. And you know as a human, you have a right to answer a call. Just because they want to lord over you, you don't want to think about the people who used to run Twitter lording over Donald Trump from having his freedom of speech. If the man was kicked out of Twitter, does it mean he was kicked out for the wrong reasons? These are questions you need to ask yourself. You were telling me about Donald Trump being kicked out of Twitter because he broke the rules. Does rules always favor everybody? There are rules for the poor and there are rules for the rich. These are elementary conversation. I don't even expect to come to this level.
But you have to come to this level at this stage because it's important. It's not a discussion.
I didn't need to come here to make...
What led to him being kicked off Twitter because he broke the rules?
Hold on. No, which rules? The rules are meant to be made up broken. One rich for the poor and one rich for the for the rich. Let me tell you, when the Nigerian government banned Twitter for the things they did that was clear violation of the issues that affected the INT'L protest, Twitter was arrogant in the first place. Until the federal government put their foot down and said, well, you don't even pay taxes here. Majority of Nigerians gives you over 4 billion every day. We are going to ban the use of Twitter. What happens? They came back on their knees begging. So if Twitter has ignored the Nigerian state and keep having their way with the Nigerian citizens putting more money into their pockets and they don't pay taxes here, does that give the right of first refusal to Twitter owners? So bro, these are elementary conversations. I wouldn't want to go into that. And I don't particularly agree with you that Donald Trump is arrogant. I mean, we're on a public forum. You can't paint a picture of a man.
Are you not saying that the guy is not arrogant?
It's not arrogant. Let me tell you, the minute you speak truth to power most of the time, you're seen to be arrogant. And that is the problem of this world. The minute you speak truth to power, you are known or seen to be arrogant. If they have rules, those that, like they say in our adage, when 20 people hold a he-goat at the front of the goat knows who brought the he-goat. So just because Twitter has its rules that helps them to manage and govern and control people the way they want, and somebody comes and says what you're doing is wrong, doesn't make it right for them. Do not turn around and say it's arrogant. Where's the arrogance?
All right, now calm down, watch your emotions. I say, put my phone down.
No emotions.
Watch your emotions.
To him.
Now, I told you guys before that he has this soft spot for Donald Trump, and now he's displaying it. He's displaying
if I wanted
it.
to go into the conversation proper and really open fire, my brother would be on the wrong. It would be
our time is up. Our time is up. You're gonna have the last line of this discussion.
What?
Come on, you started it. You started. He should end it because our time is up. I know what I did.
Be very careful.
So 1 minute is because our time is up.
Each, right?
H, yes.
Okay.
H. Let's go to H.
Okay. I will do 30 seconds. Let him do 90 seconds.
All right, go ahead.
Trump should be humble enough. He wants to come to rule a set of people. They have different backgrounds and different mindsets. So yours cannot be overriding. And you must learn to keep to rules and regulations.
Thank you so much. Honorable, over to you now, Honorable.
I don't think Donald Trump is arrogant in any way. Donald Trump has just shown to me why he's a billionaire. A man that has high intellectual ability, a successful businessman who wants to build his own movement. everybody on Twitter, the 880 people on Twitter million, will eventually move to the next platform and even double that number by the time it is fully settled. On
Thank
this
you.
platform.
Thank you. Thank you. So I said it. But he was saying
Trump
no.
is not APC.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's see how all this will pan out, because Trump right now, he has declared. And of course, Elon Musk seems to be just dashing around Trump saying, Trump, you're welcome back. Just come back to Twitter. Come back to Twitter. Go and fight for the presidency. We're solidly behind you. Others are saying, no, Trump, don't be someone like you there. Some are saying this man is arrogant. Others are saying, no, he's speaking to the power. America is saying that Trump is bringing out the true nature of America. Some are saying, no, that is barbaric. Don't forget what happened at the Capitol. What do you feel about all this? Let's have this pan out. Gentlemen, once more, I appreciate a wonderful analysis. Do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.